Oh, and we are here with the infamous, she's going to be this way, right? Christine Beardsley of Northern Florida, proud member of the Senior Savings Strategy Group with her. So it's a family agency and it's a really cool dynamic. We have two mamas. We have Christine and Gwen, and then we got two babies. We got Colton and we got Charlotte, but Colton and Charlotte are married to each other. So by default, the two mamas teamed up to work together, and they are one hot rockin' agency. They are just killing it. So impressive. I'm not just saying this because you're in the interview and you're looking at me right now. We talk about you guys all the time. When we talk to other agencies out there, we always reference you guys about doing the deal. You have a very unique business model. It's proven. We see it. We want to be part of it. We want to support it. We're just happy to have you here. So welcome. I appreciate you coming on this week's episode of Agent Spotlight. It means a lot to me. And
Thanks, Jeff.
We always start off with the first question, and that is, a moment to kind of talk about yourself. And that is what was your profession before? I know the answer, but what was your profession before? And what was it that attracted you over to the insurance industry?
So I've been a registered nurse for 26 years. I went straight from high school to college, got married in the middle of nursing school, and and worked.
Man, you're still married to today.
Correct.
Yeah.
Great guy. Awesome guy. So I worked everything from the operating room for about 7 years, did home care for about 4 years, took a lot of years off, raised a family, but always had my fingers in all that. And my last job was at the VA, and just was a little more time constraint, than I wanted. Charlotte was getting married. My son was graduating high school. He was applying for ROTC and needed me. So I decided to quit my job with the VA. Nobody does that. It's crazy. Good benefits, good hours, all that kind of thing.
My cousin's husband is a major in the Army stationed at the VA. So, he speaks like the world of his position.
Right. And normally it's a really good fit for people. But I just knew that my kids would be leaving in 2020 and that would be it. So I decided to take a year off.
Find yourself.
Right. And spend that time with the kids and, help them launch basically. And that was in December of 2019, early 2020, Gwen Parish calls and says, what are you going to do? What's your next move? Do you want to come and work with me? And I said, well, what do you do? And Joe, honestly, when she introduced me to Medicare, I said, well, wait, I took care of Medicare, patients all the time. Now I can get them help with their insurance. I mean, that was always the question.
Right.
I'm a veteran, and why did I get this bill? Or how do I get my medicine paid for? I knew exactly. It was like a glove. It fit perfectly for me.
Calling.
It was. And so she asked me to come. So Colton and I paired up and took our state test together. We trained together, and then we hit the ground running. She had very high expectations for us. And we met those,
absolutely.
I've had a ball. We've had a ball.
And you get the best part of the whole thing you're telling me is you get to work with your family.
Yes.
You get to work with your daughter, you get to work with your son-in-law, which, they're just an absolute delight.
Yes.
I got to spend time with both of them out in Memphis, and I just felt so compelled when I got home that I had to send both of you a message saying, wow, like what a very, very kind and sweet couple, like finishing their own sentences and how they were ordering dinner and whatnot. It brought me way back, because when you get married and you have kids, it's a little different, married people could understand that with children.
Right.
And to see like this younger couple, like, still in the honeymoon phase, it was really cute.
Yeah. They're amazing.
Yeah,
They're
definitely
amazing.
a match made for each other for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
So
And
it's
great
unique.
that
Very unique.
Of course, and she's a registered nurse as well. Your daughter,
She is.
you know, she's making the transition over to the Medicare channels as well, and it's really important because you have a special education and you have a special experience that us in the non-medical profession generally just doesn't understand. And you can look at it from the healing perspective, because that's essentially what your trainings have been through the years, is to heal and nurture. And you can look at it from that perspective, whereas a lot of times the way that my mind is wired and the minds of others like me is we look at it from the business perspective, you know, from the data and the numbers. So to have that nurturing, you know, nurse ability to bring to the table, you can form a connection and a bond with your clients in a very different way than we can. And
Correct.
very, very strong. And you know, not to, one thing we try not to do on these interviews is talk numbers, but you know, you can see that only being in Medicare a short period of time. I think you started last summer, you know, so we're coming on just about a year. You know, you produced what someone usually takes about 3 years to do when they first started into the industry. And you know, that's a direct result of, number one, your work ethic, you know, number two, your agency affiliation, but number three, your nurturing and your loving for the people.
Well, I knew where to find them. I had been in their homes. I had listened to their problems. I knew where their lack of resources was. And all of a sudden I had tools in my hand to meet those needs, whether it be veterans or just seniors, you know, help with medication. We were transportation. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of all the things that we as home care nurses always looked for with our patients. And I was like, what do you mean? It was always right there. What do you mean? And so I knew where to find them. I told Gwen right away, wow, where has this been my whole life? And so I just went after it. I mean,
that's awesome.
It's a lot of work though. I mean, it's hard work.
Yeah.
But,
that's
work's work. That's what we say at my house.
Anybody that talks to me, they know that I always promote work ethic. This is an industry where at the end of the day, the hardest worker is going to be the biggest winner. That's the one thing that nobody's ever figured out. Yeah, there's a little edge if you know marketing, and there's an edge of this and there's an edge of that. If you're born into the agency, there's an edge. But at the end of the day, you know, the hardest worker is going to win. Even those that are born into the agency, unless they're willing to work, they're not going to be the winners. You know, and we see that with some of the groups out there that were born in the agency. They work really hard and they are just reaping the benefits. You know, as your daughter and your son-in-law will, as time goes on, because they're hard workers, they're going to reap the benefits. So you got to work. Very important. So it brings me to my next question, and that is what would you say has been one of your biggest challenges or hurdles that you had to overcome, you know, since your transition over to Medicare sales?
I would say two things: technology.
Okay.
Because technology is very much business. You know, I ran, you know, a tablet when I did home care. The whole VA system, you know, we ran a little bit of computer, you know, but it's very specific. So having my own business and learning Excel spreadsheets and Zoom and, you know, tracking commissions, that was a challenge for me, honestly. So, you know, I luckily have a son in college, so he's helpful, a daughter that just got out of college. So, you know, I have a lot of help, but basically, you know, I've had to overcome that. And I will say, and everyone in this office will tell you, hands down, I do way too much service work. I make appointments for my clients. I just, you know, I go over and above. That's just my nurturing nurse portion of me. And, you know, they're all the time telling me you do way too much service work. You need to let some of that. And so I've had to learn how to help my patient, or see, I still call them patients, help my clients, help themselves, you know.
Absolutely. And, you know, there is that happy medium, and, you know, service work is a subjective perception. You know, some feel that service work should be very minor. Other people feel like yourself, service work should be, you know, very hands-on and very strong and multiple touch points. And there's really no right or wrong answer. You know, at the end of the day, and this is my business mind coming out, not my nurturing mind. But my business mind says, to look at the data, look at the touch points, and see if the additional multiple touch points are equating to the additional, sales and the additional referrals and so forth. And can we trace that, and can we document it? But my nurturing side says you can never do enough customer service work, because at the end of the day,
Sure.
These people, as crappy as it may sound, they're getting plummeted in terms of marketing, and it's only going to get worse. They get destroyed on the telephones. They get their mailbox filled with stuff. People even come by their house and knock on the door without an invitation or any type of marketing response. So they are getting it from every single touch point from everybody else. So it's very important that we stay in front of our clients, and if you do it 5 times a year and everyone says you should do it 3, at some point in time, hopefully you get to the point where you can delegate that service to someone else. And that would be ultimately the ultimate goal. But how many clients have you lost? That many? 0. So there's something to be said for that. So would bring me to my next question, and that would be, and I guess it's kind of a difficult question, because we all have different reasons why we're successful, but what would you say would be the one thing, or 2 things, but the one thing that kind of stands out that's really brought you to the part in your life today where you feel you're successful at Medicare?
What has brought me to be successful? Passion for people. Knowing that, as a Christian, that taking care of the elderly, the disenfranchised, the needy, that people have worked for their Medicare and that there are benefits for them, that is passion for me. That puts me at food banks, that puts me doing service work, long hours, finding doctors that people can see. It's passion for people. I love people. And this, with a medical background, pairing it with the Medicare, my husband, he'll tell you, he's like, where's it spent all your life? Right. I love my work. Yeah. I think it's amazing work. And I get paid to do it, which you don't have a job when you get paid for your passion. True. All of a sudden it's just, it's your life's work. So I help everyone from, friends, neighbors, to, of course, I always say, strangers are only people I haven't met yet. So do I want to write all the Medicare? Yes, you better believe it. I love it. I want to write all the Medicare. Right. And
this interview was supposed to happen a couple hours ago, and today was just an off day, and I wasn't sure, was it 11? Did we say 11 or 1? I couldn't remember. And you had texted saying, sorry, I'm at the office and I've had 3 walk-ins. I'm the only one here. It just goes to show, like, your passion is to help these people.
Yes.
Really is.
Yes.
And judging by all those applications on the shelf,
yes.
It's like, I don't need 10, I need 30, because that's how many I'm going to do before I need another order. So very cool. Absolutely. So passion, and I heard work ethic. You're one of the hardest working agents that I know. I'm not discounting the other agents that are working hard. I think a lot of them are doing an amazing job, but I know your story specifically. We talk on a regular, and I know for sure that you're out there hitting the pavement and hitting the streets. You're always forming new ideas and new relationships, and it shows. Your agency is on fire, absolutely on fire.
Yes.
4th question is, what advice would you give to a new agent out there, or an agent that's thinking about making the transition into Medicare? What advice would you give them?
It's hard to speak to an agent that hasn't done Medicare. Honestly, I will say that in the Medicare world, I feel like I have a decent grasp. I won't say I have a grasp of everything, but I have a decent grasp. But in the insurance world, I have a very narrow view. And the more I learn of what I need to learn. Every day is a school day. Insurance is vast. So it's hard for me to speak to an agent that's been doing life insurance or PNC or, I don't know. I don't know if Medicare is a good fit for them or not. Medicare's hard. It's hard work.
Oh, I was doing a training yesterday and I haven't done like a one-on-one training in a hot minute. I mean, it's been a little while and I was a little rusty and I was getting into the extra help part of the training and my brain was just like, how does a new agent even absorb this? Like my brain was already, swelling up, trying to explain all the MSP, LIS, how to apply, how to look, what it means, what it doesn't mean, assets and this and that. And, like I said, it's been a hot minute. It's been a few months since I really did a one-on-one based training. And just thinking to myself, like, there's a huge, barrier to entry. The curve is so wide on the Medicare side.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I would say, prepare yourself for a master's degree in Medicare. That's kind of what it feels like. It's a whole new world of education. Not to mention, for me, it was easier because medication is easy for me to shop. Most of the doctors in our area I'm familiar with on a one-to-one basis. So that made it easy for me. That's not the case for most agents. So I would say it's rewarding in a way that, for me, that makes it worth it, but it is very, very hard work and you need a very good support system, because the minutia of Social Security, on one end, income, there's just so much involved in it. And honestly, my husband was a little afraid that I was going to be doing the same thing all the time and I would be bored with it. Oh boy, not the case. Very complicated, very much niche market. So if you're looking for a challenge, I would say Medicare is for you. If you love a challenge, Medicare will do that for you.
And it's interesting you said that because my role that has since, morphed to where it is today with the agency owners and the downlines and whatnot and the multiple layers, my role has been where I'm generally brought in for the more challenging and difficult case consultation. So when there's a very hard, difficult case, I usually get an email about it. And it's like some of them I read, the agent is kind enough to write a paragraph of the scenario and I'm reading it and my brain is just like how in the world are we going to solve this problem for this client? And it's like, you have to take a little bit of time and really digest and think about, what is the safe and, what is the strategic solution for the client on some of these really difficult and complicated cases.
Exactly.
Especially when you're dealing with medications that are expensive.
Yes.
And then, coming into a new plan, the client has a new deductible. The deductible can be, $400 to $500. For some of our clients, $400 to $500 might as well be $40,000 to $50,000. It's the same difference to them at that point. It's unreachable. So it's really, really, really tricky and really, really challenging.
It is. It is.
But that's to say that's only about 10% of the space. The other 90% is very rewarding. It's,
oh, yes.
Residual income is a beautiful thing. It allows us to have freedoms and liberties. And more importantly, you're truly offering a tangible service that people absolutely need.
And I would always say too, Joe, getting back to your question about how I got into it, when Gwen introduced me to this, I'd been a nurse at that point for 25 years. I was working a government job, making under 100,000 a year. And the cap was probably going to be a little over 100,000 by the time I retired. When she showed me the opportunity with Medicare, I was blown away. Honestly,
it's crazy.
Blown away because, in the nursing industry, you hear so often, it's a great living, and it is a great living, but there's a cap. You're always going to have that cap. You're
especially
never going
in Florida.
to. Right.
Yeah, especially in Florida.
So, I was like, that's an unbelievable opportunity. And you mean I can just make as much as hard as I want to work? She's
and
like,
because it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And bigger.
Yeah.
This year alone,
unbelievable.
I'm trying to say it the right way. It's not like we're promoting, but this year alone, we are strategically working with multiple agents whose income is going to surpass $200,000 a year. Multiple agents, like many of them, more than 5, where their incomes are going to surpass more than $200,000 a year. And that's all because they decided one day that they're going to put their head down, go to work. They're going to take the suggestions. They're going to do things like what you're doing. And
Right.
they've kept at it, week in and week out and so forth. They spend time with their family. Yes, they're going on vacations. Yes, they're doing the best they can to be, mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, and whatnot. But they're following their regimen, and their regimen is can become fruitful. And if you can get to the point where your income is $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 a year, it's a very beautiful life that you can live. Very beautiful.
Right.
Life.
It's
in a position of freedom, right?
Right.
It puts us in a position of different opportunities, and it puts us in a position where, the little switch goes off, because you had said something to me on the phone the other day, and you had said that, with the decisions your family has made through the years, your income is not dependent in your household for your household to survive. And it's the same in our household. My wife does not, it's not a requirement for her to go to work. She's going to be a firefighter paramedic because that's her passion. That's what she wants to do. She starts at the firehouse on Tuesday. It's going to be really weird in my house.
Oh, wow.
9 days a month, she's going to be gone. Like, it's going to be odd. She was crying last night about it. But it's not a requirement for her to go, for us to have certain things. It's a passion following, and you're following your passion, but because of that, the fruits of the tree are going to bear. And when you get to the point where you're doing something that you love, just as you described, and you're making a lot of money doing it, it's a much different feeling driving into work on a Monday morning than it is when you have to. Because I remember a period of time when I had to, like, it was a requirement. Like, if I didn't get out and do these 4 appointments, there was a good chance that something wasn't going to be paid, or it was going to be difficult to pay something. And as blessed as I am today, that's just not my experience anymore. It's just a very different feeling going into work. And that's what I got from you when we talked the other day about when you shared with me that your household is not dependent on. So it just even goes to show, like, you live in a household where, like, your contribution isn't what's keeping the lights on, but you still wake up in the morning early and you do it the best you possibly can because you love it so much.
Yes, I do. And I love the fact that if you want to work hard, it pays off. It really does. So we've enjoyed that. Yes.
So there's a 5th question. We normally do 4, but I'm doing a 5.
All right.
And that is, I know you participate in agency meetings with your agency, and I know that there's been some high-level conversations more recently. And my question is, if there was a special person out there that lived, central North Florida, and really wanted to be a part of the big thing that you guys have going on, do you feel that you're in a position now where you would be willing to allocate a little time to mentor that agent and, bring them within the family and, let them flourish and grow and, kind of follow your footsteps? Do you feel like you're in a position where you could do that?
$19.95 a month.
Okay.
Shipping and handling. Yeah.
That's only $19.95.
Right. $19.95 a month. No, we definitely want to grow. I hired an assistant because I'm so busy and I want to touch my clients and I just can't get to everything. So
congratulations.
Thanks. And
there's our office manager. We have another position open for help, but those are the resumes.
Right. So Bridget is gonna get her license. We're gonna train her, and she's gonna work with me. So
very cool. Develop from within. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that's a yes. That's a yes.
That is a yes.
Yeah.
That is a yes.
Again, it's got to be a perfect fit. If you feel that you want to be part of what they're doing, they have such a grassroots system set up that the right agent can literally just plug in and all of a sudden they're going to be busy. It's miraculous. So it's got to be a good fit. Personalities have to work well. They're going to be looking clearly for work ethic and they're going to be looking for exclusivity. So those are the two things. But if you feel like you want to, find out what they're doing, privately message me, privately message Christine, and host an onboarding call and kind of see where it goes.
Sounds great.
All right.
We'd love it.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate
Thank you,
this.
Joe.
This was good. I really,
Yeah.
really, really appreciate you.
Perfect.
I'm going to say goodbye now. And
All right.
that is that.
All right.